Okay, let's get started. It's after 5:30. So welcome to our Committee of Adjustment meeting. This is December 5th. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges that it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to the generations of people who've taken care of this land, including the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. So our roll call, I'll go back to Jake.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Jake Durder. I'm the Acting Secretary Treasurer for the Committee of Adjustment. I'll be hosting the meeting today and managing the participants. Committee members joining us this evening include Member Kennis, Member Kumar, Member Vian, Member Pelkman, Member Derbyshire, and the Chair, Member Terpstra. Member McGuire is absent today. Municipal staff in attendance this evening are Erin Besh, she's joining us by Zoom this evening, and Melanie from Legal Legislative Team. Tonight we have 3 applications to be heard by the committee. The chair will introduce each application and provide the applicant and agent an opportunity to speak to the application. The planner will follow with their report. The public will then be invited to make comments or ask questions about the application. The chair will then call upon the committee to ask questions and make comment before the chair calls for a vote on the application. Once a decision is made, there's a 20-day appeal period from the date of decision for minor variances and 20 days from the date of notice of decision for consents. If anyone wishes to be notified of a decision, you can make a request today or make a written request following the meeting. For virtual participants, please ensure your name is visible on the Zoom video, and we ask that you keep yourselves muted until it is your turn to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jake. So the approval of the agenda, I'm looking for a recommendation that the December 5, 2024 Committee of Adjustment agenda be approved as circulated. So moved by Steve, second by Frank. All in favor? Carries. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, moving on. Reading and correction or approval of minutes. We've all received the minutes. Any questions, any comments? No, that I'm looking for a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes for November the 7th, 2024 be approved as written. Yes. We'll take your vote. Is that good?
I thought you were asking for.
Yeah. Supported by? Yeah. All in favor? And that carries. Submission for consideration. Our first one tonight is 5.1's application for minor variance A28-2024, 37 Cassie Crescent, Strathroy. Owners are Mark and Susan Featherstone. And are they in the audience? There they are. Welcome to our meeting. Erin, if I can go to you for your report, and then we'll come back.
Thank you very much. Hopefully everyone can hear me clearly. So the first application this evening, again, is for 37 Cassie Crescent in Strathroy. The application is requesting relief to permit a maximum lot coverage of 38%, whereas 35% is required in the R1-9 zone. They are also requesting permission to reduce the minimum rear yard depth from 7 meters, or to 7 meters, sorry, whereas 7.5 meters is required, again, in the R1-9 zone. So the application will facilitate the construction of a sunroom on the rear of the existing dwelling. The property is generally rectangular in shape and approximately 524 square meters in size. The lands contain an existing single detached dwelling with access off of Cassie Crescent. The rear lot line has a required setback of 7.5 meters, and this is specific to the R1-9 zone. The existing dwelling is set back approximately 11 meters from the rear lot line. The applicant is proposing to add a 31.2 square meter or 336 square foot sunroom onto the rear of the existing dwelling. And the addition of the sunroom would decrease the rear yard depth by 4 meters or 13 feet for a total setback of 7 meters. The addition would also increase the total lot coverage by 5.9% with a total lot coverage of 38%. So this zone is slightly different than what we typically see in the low density residential zone, which is the R1 zone. The subdivision with this specific zone was designed to have slightly smaller lots, smaller setbacks, just sort of a slightly higher density than what we would see in our low density residential typically. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. The Senior Development Coordinator advised of no concerns in regards to the lot coverage increase. His opinion is that a 3% increase to lot coverage will have minimal impact on the drainage in the area. And Engineering and Public Works advised of no concerns as well. And I did not receive any comments from the public regarding this application. So my tests of minor variance were really limited to what are the impacts that would be seen from the neighboring properties. I would note that there's multiple properties in this area who have had lot coverage increases, some more significant than this one. The 3%, you know, if there's no impact to the drainage and the water runoff on the property, then, you know, it's of minimal consequence in my mind to increase it from 35 to 38. The sunroom with the reduced setback, it's still maintaining 7 meters to the property line, and then the house to the rear, you know, it's kind of the side of their rear yard. It's not their house, so we're still maintaining, you know, distance between the two dwellings. So with that in mind, my recommendation this evening is approval, subject to our standard drainage condition, which is that stormwater be dealt with on site without negative effects on the adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Erin. Mark and Susan, do you have any comments to add to that?
No, we understand the drainage issue, and this will affect the drainage itself.
Okay.
It's what we're doing now is all the water that comes off our roof now does go right into the backyard and flow directly into our neighbor's backyard. Whereas they can't use it. Now we're taking everything coming off the sunroom. The spout will be coming down. We're going to get an underground line to go up to the front lawn, and we're going to join that side of the house all along there into that line and come up into the middle of my yard where I can actually use the water into our front grass.
Good plan, good plan. Okay, any comments from committee members? Seeing none, then I'm looking for support. Steve, you're supporting it? And second, Dale, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Thank you. So 5.2 is an application for minor variance A27-2024, 7842 Longwoods Road, County Road 2. The owner is Thane Odell. Is Thane here tonight? Welcome to our meeting. Erin, again, if I can go back to you for a report on this one.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this application is a little bit more complicated in that we are requesting 5 variances this evening. So I will try to be as clear as possible for the committee's sake. So the subject property is located on the north side of Longwoods Road, west of Christina Road. It's approximately 0.66 hectares or 1.64 acres in size, and it has about 30 meters of frontage along Longwoods. The lands currently contain an existing single detached dwelling, which is 115 square meters in size, a detached workshop that is 142.7 square meters in size. And there are also some additional accessory structures as well. So the first sort of part of this application, the applicant is proposing to construct a secondary suite in the front yard of the property. The variances related to that they are requesting is number 1, to permit a secondary suite that is 60 square meters in size, whereas the bylaw restricts secondary suites to 80% of the gross floor area of the main dwelling, which in this case would be limited to 46.5 square meters. The second item in regards to the secondary suite, again, would be the location of the structure in the front yard, whereas accessory structures are limited to locating in the side or rear yard only. And finally, the Variance number 2, which is the secondary suite on the ground floor of an accessory building, whereas in the zoning bylaw they're restricted to the second story only. So typically we would see, under these provisions, we would see, say, a detached garage with an accessory building on top. But this is sort of different in that it is on the ground floor. It's the only part of the accessory structure. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of these types of uses now that with the changes coming through from the province, as well as accessibility. We've definitely talked about this in previous committee meetings. The location on the ground floor versus stairs, or in the extreme case, an elevator to get up to the second story. So the structure itself would be, let's see here, 60 square meters in size. It would be located in the front yards. The applicant has advised that this location is necessary due to the orientation of the property and the setback of the existing dwelling. The structure is also not able to be constructed in the rear yard due to the location of the septic system, pool, and of course the home occupation that I will talk about in just a moment. Further, the location that is proposed would be close to all required services, including hydro and gas, and the structure is proposed to be under the 4.5 meter height maximum for accessory buildings. So switching gears kind of from the secondary suite portion, we're then going to be looking at the structure as an accessory building. So variance number 4, which would be to permit a cumulative floor area of all accessory structures of 241 square meters, whereas 92.72 square meters in size is currently permitted. That does seem like quite a significant increase in size. However, I will say that the applicant was approved for a minor variance, I believe in 2017, which allowed an increase to this number already to 181 square meters, which would permit the workshop to be constructed, which it has. So in reality, this is an increase from the 181 square meters to 241, which is adding that 60 square meters for the secondary suite. Finally, the final variance that is requested is to permit the increase to the maximum area that can be used for home occupation to 142.7 square meters, which is to be operated from the detached workshop, whereas 29 square meters is permitted under the zoning bylaw. So the applicant has received previous approval for this variance. This variance allowed the applicant to operate their timber frame business from the workshop. It was proposed at the time, and like I said, it has now been constructed. The approval was based on several conditions. Number 1, that the existing detached garage be removed upon completion of the new garage, which it has. Number 2, that the new detached garage is permitted to be used only for a custom cosmetic timber frame home occupation. And number 3, that the timbers may be stored outside, provided they are placed in a location that is screened from view, not only from Longwoods Road, but also the adjacent dwelling to the east, and that this area for open storage does not exceed 500 square meters. So the reason for the deferral from the previous Committee of Adjustment meeting was sort of upon evaluation of the property, it did appear that the applicant was exceeding this 500 square meters in size. It appeared to be more along the lines of 700 square meters. That sort of meant that the home occupation is no longer in compliance with the original variance approval. So taking that into consideration, we, or the applicant, decided to add the variance back to this application so that we can perhaps increase, if the committee is amenable to it, the area used for outdoor storage. So the outdoor storage holds white pine timbers of varying sizes, as well as finished projects until they can be delivered and raised at the client's properties. These timbers are custom ordered from a sawmill and can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months to be ready for pickup. In order to be prepared for the new jobs as they come in, the applicant has a small stock of commonly sized timbers that are stored outside of the workshop. Once a timber is cut, it is sanded and stained and placed in the sun to dry. Hence why there is quite a large area being used for the outdoor storage. Typically the reason why we prohibit outdoor storage as part of a home occupation is because we can see it turning into, you know, a contractor's yard, a landscaping business, all of the things that we kind of we have tried to avoid in the agricultural area, because lots of times they take by law enforcement. In this case, I would say that, you know, the home occupation is operated from the detached workshop. It is operated by one man who also resides on the property. So it is not a large operation. This is just, you know, his small business. It's just the materials that are required to operate the business are quite large. So they do require some additional area for outdoor storage. I also wanted to note that the timbers, once they are, you know, prepared and ready to go, once the applicant's property is ready, the timbers are then delivered to by the applicant to the customer's property for assembly. And this is approximately 12 to 36 trailer hauls per year, so 1 or 2 per month. There is not a significant traffic generation to and from the site. So I did want to, I won't go through all of my policy and regulations. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. The Senior Development Coordinator advised of no concerns. The County Engineer also advised of no concerns, and no comments were received by the public or from the public on this application. So in terms of the secondary suite, I'm of the opinion that it can be considered a minor change to go from 46.5 square meters to 60 square meters in size. It is still under the total maximum of 75 square meters, which is, you know, 800 square feet, I believe. Although it is located in front of the dwelling, it will remain still behind the tree line and the vegetation along the front of the property. So it will still be quite shielded from view. The workshop itself, that is located sort of at the end of the L of the property, it is completely hidden from view of Longwoods Road and from the neighboring property, which is, you know, part of the condition of the original variance. So I think, you know, the additional accessory building is not going to appear to be, the property won't seem overpopulated with accessory buildings, is kind of what I was trying to say. In terms of allowing for the business to, you know, obviously continue to operate with this expanded size, I think, you know, again, the important part in my mind is that it is operated by one man. It is not a large operation. It's unfortunate, you know, the materials that are being used do require more room to be stored. They are large materials. So I think there is a mind to say that it is minor in the difference that, you know, although it's not being operated from the home itself, it is still considered a home occupation. I would also say too that, you know, there have been no bylaw concerns that have been raised about this business in the X number of years that it's been operating. So I think that is an important piece as well. So ultimately, I think that the variances meet the 4 tests. So my recommendation this evening is approval, subject to 4 conditions. So number 1, standard to all of our sort of accessory building provisions, that stormwater be dealt with on site without negative effects on the neighboring properties. Number 2, that the 142 square meter detached workshop be permitted to be used for the custom cosmetic timber frame home occupation only, and it is operated solely by the landowner. This is a carryover from the condition of the previous variance. Number 3, that the timbers may be stored outside provided they're placed in location that is screened from view by Longwoods Road and the adjacent dwelling to the east and are used for open storage, and the area used for open storage does not exceed 700 square meters. This was a slight increase from the 500 that was previously approved. I do want to, or it was noted that maybe we should add to ensure that our outdoor storage is limited to this maximum, a delineation of this area must be installed to the satisfaction of the municipality. This could be some sort of vegetation, it could be, you know, cement blocks, it could be fencing, it could be whatever. I think that in order for it not to take over a larger area, that it does need to have some sort of delineation. And four, that the vegetation along the front lot line of the property be maintained. And again, that's just to ensure that the secondary suite in the front yard does not appear to be the primary structure on the property. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Erin. Any comments from the landowners?
Oh, from me? The area behind my shop that she's talking about that I'm using for my timbers, I just, right off the bat, I just can't picture what 500 square meters looks like or 700. And I'm just curious why, like, all the space I have behind my shop, but I can't use it the way I see fit. Just a question, that's
Yeah.
all.
And Erin, I'm not sure if you can answer that either.
Like, I actually haven't measured all the space.
Right,
If
yeah.
700 is all the space there, or?
So through the chair to committee and to the applicant, 700 is, based on an aerial photography sort of delineation that I've done, based on aerial photography of like Google Earth as well as our internal mapping program. The reason why we limit the outdoor area and why it was limited in the first place is because home occupations such as this, well, perhaps not such as this, are not permitted to have outdoor storage at all. They're meant to be dealt with completely within the home. So we're looking at, hairdressers, craftsmen are certainly contemplated, but it's more along the lines of, small woodworking and of that sort of nature. So we're kind of moving into the area of, is this a home occupation or is this a commercial business being operated on a property that is not zoned appropriately? So in order to stay under that home occupation sort of umbrella and not go down the route of a full rezoning of the property to recognize this business, there does need to be some sort of limitation to the outdoor storage, so it's not the entire property. So that is absolutely my opinion. Committee, if they so see fit, they can eliminate that condition or amend it as they're choosing.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
So I understand that she measured the space that I'm currently using, and that's within the 700 square meters?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Good?
Thank you.
Through the chair too, yes, correct.
Okay, we're good. Okay, any questions or comments from committee members? Yes, Steve?
The only comment I'll make is that this plan makes sense given the shape of the property, and I think the extra living dwelling will be probably more private than most people have, even with the business there. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? And seeing none, I'm looking for a recommendation on this one. Steve? And supported by Frank. All in favor? And that carries. There you go. Okay, then moving on to 5.3, it's an application for consent, 7859 Park House Drive. I believe we saw this one last month. And Amanda and Luke Fawcett, are they in the audience? Oh, they're on Zoom.
We've joined from home.
Excellent.
Hello.
There you go. Okay, Erin, your report.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry about this. I've got a little flustered. Here we go. Okay, I got the right map up. Perfect. So committee will be familiar with this property. This was brought to the committee the previous meeting that we had in November. So the application requests to sever a surplus farm dwelling from a larger farm parcel as a result of consolidation. The owner is proposing to retain the residential lot and convey the farmland to a qualified farmer. So I won't go through all the specifics like I did in the previous meeting. Really what the intent of this report is that I provided was to give committee all of the comments that were received in regards to the application, and then a recommended list, a list of conditions of approval for contemplation this evening. Again, this was based on the fact that my report from last month was a denial report, as the house itself that is in question is only 5 years old, or was constructed in 2018 and does not qualify for a surplus farm dwelling severance under the 10-year provisions. So the conditions that are being recommended are standard to a surplus farm dwelling severance, subject to, no, I don't think there's anything that is not standard. There is a condition number 4, which the lands to be severed are transferred to a qualified farmer to the satisfaction of the municipality, and that is just to ensure that the provisions of the provincial planning statement can be satisfied, that this is a surplus farm dwelling severance. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the Fawcett's?
Not too much, I don't believe. Last meeting, the conversation regarding the current home being less than 10 years old, there was just that previous building, or home, I should say, on the property that years ago when we actually were at a meeting, just so we could tear that down, the old farmhouse, to build the current dwelling that we're in. I believe that's all.
Yeah, good, thank you. Okay, any comments or questions from the committee? Yes, Brian.
So I guess it's probably a comment, not so much a question. We have an agreement here between two people where it's going to state as a farm bought by a farmer who will not be able to buy this land with the house the way it is. So, our job is to protect farmland, but yet here's an example of kind of a catch-22 where the house is too new for him to afford to buy the whole 100 in the house. And even then he still can't sever it for numerous years. This is something where I think there should be exceptions made where both people agree there was a house there. We're not really changing any of the things other than we're just not following a 10-year thing. I guess my comment is if we're looking at keeping it in the hands of farmers, this is the way you do it, because if this goes to the open market, it's probably not a farmer that buys it.
Yep, you're right. Okay, so then I'm looking for a recommendation that the report for application for consent, the 18/20/24, be received for information. Supported?
Here's a question.
Yes, Steve.
So since I wasn't here at the last meeting, so the decision has already been made to approve it. We just needed the conditions.
Further conditions is correct. Yes.
So do we not need a motion to approve the conditions? Not just a motion to receive?
Erin got her hand up, yes.
Through the chair to Member Pelkman, it was actually, the application was deferred. So they sort of approved it in principle and directed staff to prepare a list of conditions. So it has not had the final decision yet, so it can still be made this evening.
Oh, so, okay, because it's written this way that I read it, but we're looking for an approval of the entire thing, right? Yes, okay. So yes, Steve.
Correct.
Then I will make the motion to approve the motion for consent with the 3 conditions.
Excellent, and supported by Brian, all in favor? And that carries. So then we're going to other business, and that goes back to Jake.
Thank you, Chair. This item was brought up at the last committee meeting as well. The committee requested that the landowner attend to provide their side of the story and some more background information that was missing. And so we have Dave here to speak to this and kind of how it happened answer any of the committee's questions. And then the committee can kind of decide on a direction to go from there. The owners had requested a refund on their application fee, and so I think if any wishes, they can decide that, but I think it's good to hear from Dave first before the committee report.
Yeah. This has been a kind of a long going process. We've been in this process for 4 years.
Before you start, could you move over to the microphone? Thank you.
You hear me? So it started out where we came to get a permit because our place burnt down Mount Bridges. So we came to Matt Stevenson and we got a permit for 2 water meters, 2 sewers to the road, and we paid for that. We got the house torn down. Matt Stevenson gave us a letter that we cannot use our sanitary septic tank anymore. So we had to destroy that so that he could sell it, so that we could start building. And then it went from there to, when we started building, we got the house started. We put the water into the road, 2 water meters, 2 water sewers, 2 sewers and 2 waters with the plastic that he described what he actually wanted. So we had it all built, and all of a sudden, I guess he got let go here or whatever, so things started changing. Then they came on and said, hey, you guys have to have a severance or we're not gonna hook you up. So to get a severance, we had to say, hey, well, like, we're not asking for a severance, we're just trying to rebuild a place that burnt down. So what you told us we needed, your inspectors came out here, Matt Stevenson, inspected at the road. There's water, sewer, with stakes there waiting for the guy to come down the road. And if you know where the property is that's where they were gonna extend the sewer down for the subdivision across the road. So that's where we were promised from the town, we're gonna get hooked up. So when we said we're gonna get hooked up, I thought we were gonna get hooked up that year, because that's what they promised us. So meanwhile, the place is getting finished, and we have the place rented, but we have no water and sewer. So as of today, we still pump shit from one side of the semi to the other side, and our tenants are paying for water and sewer on both sides. And this is where this whole thing has got into a mess, and I don't even know why I'm here tonight, because we have questions to be asked. But when we put our severance in, I said, okay, well, we'll sever. If that's what you need to sever, we'll sever. And then we went to the committee adjustments on June the 9th, because when the developer was coming down the road, he says, Dave, you only got 1 stub. I go, 1 stub? I says, we have a letter from the municipality what's gonna cost for each stub and whatever it's gonna cost for the road. And he says, you don't have that. So I talked to 3 or 4 counselors, and I got on the committee adjustment. I said, hey, you're gonna make us, from the town told us, look, you can't do anything. We're gonna patch the road up. We're gonna finish it, and then you have to take a permit out to close the road down, to take the water out of the ground, put that second service in. I'm going, like, why? Like, we never did nothing wrong. We just had a place burned down. So this thing keeps on going and going and going, and then I end up here again after talking to the new CEO like last year, and it never ends. So to get back to the point where severance, we said, yeah, we will severance, because we paid the surveyors, we've had the surveyors do our lot plan to finish off. That's the town still owes us $2,500 for that. But everybody just keeps on pushing us to the side, saying, hey, we don't want to deal with you guys. But nobody in this town has come to us and said, hey, let's sit down and get this thing figured out. So now I'm here today because I wrote a letter, 3 or 4 months ago, saying, hey, like this problem keeps on going. I asked for one thing, is for our tenant's been there 4 years, and there's still a shit pump pumping across the other side and coming to this, out to the sewer. We have the other sewer hooked up. We paid the contractor, because the Committee of Adjustment said, yeah, that doesn't make sense. As soon as they're gone, for you to open the road up, close the road, open it up again, de-water, and put another stub in. So we paid separately, us guys, to get that contract, put the other stub in. It's hooked up, sitting there right now, and there's a plug in the house that we can't use that sewer. So that comes back to the severance. For me to saying, hey, you guys got my hands tied, saying, hey, like, you guys haven't had a severance. They wanted us to put a meter pit in for water, they wanted us all kinds of crazy stuff, and we've been fighting ever since to say, hey, common sense here is gone out the window. So I'm here tonight saying, hey, like, I paid for these surveys. The stakes are in the ground for severance. Everything's done that the town wanted. And I'm just saying, like, when it came back down to it, the letter came out, I filled out the application, and I said, hey, like, what am I paying $1,000 for recreational use when I had a place burnt down? And then, of course, everything stops again. So over the years, and this is years, and I still haven't got a true answer, is like, what's going on here? Like, if you want to say, hey, like, you give me a severance, I'll have a lawyer do it tomorrow, it's done. But I still have the problem with my shit pump over there. I still have the problem with the plumbing. They put out my taxes because Matt Stevenson, Faulkner, he came and did all the work and the town paid for it. And of course, no, we're not paying for it. The new lady came in town, we're not paying for that, and the old CEO. And of course, they just put my taxes, I can't argue with anybody. So I got all this different money spent in. Like, it's a big picture, guys. I could be here for hours. But it's the big picture is, I'm back here now saying, hey, like, what am I doing now? Like, we're fed up for what's gone on and how we have been treated as a town taxpayer. Unbelievable.
So your request here is for compensation for costs associated to that, right? That's what you're looking for, is for us to approve a refund back to you?
Well, no, I will take the severance, right? But I'm not gonna pay $1,000 for recreational when I had a place there already, which the town is forcing us into this severance.
Do I understand though that, Dave, when you built, and this is just my question
Yes.
here, that when did you have a single residence and built a semi?
No,
No?
we've
Was
had
it?
there's been a semi there for probably 40 years in our
Okay.
family.
It was, okay,
Yes.
that was already there.
Always there.
Yeah, okay.
So, like I said, like, there's more to the story, and it's not gonna finish here, like, counselors, cause they're, or whatever, it's not gonna finish here, cause they haven't really addressed the whole problem from day one, when I got the permit. And when you take a look at the permit and what all the stuff I paid for, and I never did nothing wrong, I abide by everything they asked me to do, and here I am today fighting 4 years later saying, hey, what's going on here? But I said, yeah, if it goes down to say, well, if I get the $1,750 back for my severance, I don't really care if I get back, because I paid all kinds of survey fees, and then stakes are in the ground. I'm ready to go, so I will go with the severance, which they forced me into it, but I'm not gonna pay the $1,000 for that. And when I was talking to the engineer down here, the new engineer, he said, well, we gotta fill out an application. I said, look, I told the CEO, I'm telling you, I'm not filling another application out. I filled out too many applications and it don't go anywhere. Period. You gotta see my side of the story, because it's really bad. And I could be here for hours, and I wanna take your time up.
Yeah, maybe if I could clarify a few things. So, what happened with the original application is that it lapsed. So, 2 years passed and the conditions weren't fulfilled, and so that application has lapsed. So, if the owner wants to go forward with another application, they will need to reapply, and it will have to come back to committee. At that time, the committee could choose to waive the parkland dedication condition, which is what Dave was saying about the $1,000. It's a standard condition on all lot creation. It will need to be another application. We will of course work with the owner to do that, but the original one has lapsed. It lapsed quite a while ago because the conditions weren't fulfilled. So
Yes, I appreciate you saying that, but 4 years, we've lapsed on everything. And the reason why it lapsed is because nobody could give us an answer. The same as like tonight, is you're not giving me a whole answer. If I said to you, what are you gonna do about my shit pump that's still in there, right? This is a problem from day one, so don't be telling me something's elapsed when it's you people couldn't come through with what you needed to do to make me go forward, move forward. It elapsed because everybody in town kept on giving us the runaround. So it wasn't my fault that it elapsed. Oh, hold on here. Well, we got finally a holding tank put in, and of course I get the bill for it. So anyways, we paid for it, so they just put it back on our taxes because hey, we didn't agree with that. Well, yes, you did. Well, anybody can give Matt Stevens a call absolutely tomorrow, and whatever I put on paper, he agreed to. And as long as he was sitting in that chamber next door here, and I paid the permit, that's gospel. And this next lady moved in here, says, well, hold on here, like he's gone now. Well, no, I got everything on paper. I got so much paper here to make your head spin. So I'm just saying as a taxpayer, and the way I've been screwed around here, that like someone needs to hear the whole story, because I'm not gonna be finished with you. No matter if you give me the severance tonight or nothing, I've still gotta fight to get that septic tank out of there. And I asked the CEO the other day too, I says, hey, when they come along and say, what are you gonna pay us for the sewer hookup between $14,000 and $17,000? Okay, we'll pay you. Well, what about the other one? I asked her probably 3 or 4 months ago. Oh, I don't know. Well, nobody knows we paid for it. That's the problem. And why things keep on getting stopped is because the next person doesn't do their job to finish off the first place we had to do. So that's why I said to her, I'm not filling an application out because we filled one out, and yes, it did elapse. I can't argue that a bit, but there's a reason for it elapsing. And you tell me like 4 years later, I'm standing here and nothing still. When I walk out of here, whatever you decide, I still have to go back to council again, where they made me write a letter to them, which I didn't want to, but I did. And still, they push it back to you. But now who's gonna push back to say, hey, when can I get this other one hooked up? When can I get the sewer pit taken out? Like, this is a mess.
I hear you. Is there any comments from our committee? Steve?
So the second connection at the road is made, and there's a pipe going up to the house?
Yes, both pipes were run to the road. Both waters were run to the road and put at the road like any new house being built. So when that sewer guy come along here and told me there's only one hookup, I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
That's when you were on the committee adjustment, because I have your name down here, we talked to it. And then you approved that second one, because they were out in front of my place 100 feet down.
Right, because it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So we paid the contractor and we paid the town for their engineer to put it on their prints. So we paid for everything they had to do for that second thing. It's hooked up. I could go over there tomorrow and pull that plug out of the thing.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Yeah, because I know you could go on, so. So, you know, we just dealt with another semi that needed a severance on the other end of town. You know, really what this is history from back from the 70s and 80s, where today, if 2 semis were being built, the severance would be made as the semis were being built, right? Because we just dealt with one like 2 weeks ago at council, where the lot lines had to be wait until the townhouses were built, and so that the lot line doesn't go through someone's living room, was the comment. But back then, when the original house was built, Caradoc Township allowed semis to be built on a single lot without a severance. So yes, he's replacing existing units. So I agree with him. I don't think he should have to pay the $1,000 parkland dedication, because he's not building any extra units. He's just replacing what was there. If he wants the severance, and the fees have been paid, then personally I say let's move forward with the severance and get this put to bed, especially if the pipe's there already. I was thinking we needed to dig up the road again.
No, it's hooked up to the house.
Yeah. So I don't know paperwork has to be done.
Right.
But my memory says that if your original application, even the contractor across the road, would, the delay for them, because they didn't go when they were supposed to, would have already made your application lapse in the first place.
Well, yeah, because the first year, when Matt said to us that it's coming this year for sure,
And then
and then we had to put pressure on the town saying, hey, we're gonna rent this place, and you guys made us crush our tank, which we could have pumped the stuff into our originally tank. And then he said, no, you gotta crush that before you start building, so we crushed it before we started building. And then,
So
of course,
if-
then it waited a year before the subdivision across the road was gonna go, Amelia's.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you again, because I know you're gonna go on. So, whatever, for the people that manage processes, what exactly has to be done? If we as Committee of Adjustment decided that the severance is the appropriate way to move forward, what is the process to make that happen? With applicable fees waived?
So, like I said, he would need to apply for another application, and then that would have to come back to a future committee meeting.
Can we make the recommendation now that those fees be waived if he makes another
I
application?
was gonna say, committee can make a motion now to waive those application fees, and then we can get that application going and come back to a future.
And as far then as the parkland dedication, that has to be a council decision, right? Is that the only fee that's a council decision?
No, that can be a committee decision, because that's a condition of the consent. So whenever we come back to committee with that new application, the committee can choose to waive that fee at that time. So we'll deal with that.
And our justification would basically be then, because he's not building any new units, he's just replacing existing units, because we would need some kind of justification, correct?
You would need some kind of justification, yeah.
All right, because I think what we need, I apologize for what's happened to you, because you're caught between a whole bunch of rules.
It's not finished yet either.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Where do I go now? Like,
All right, so I will make a motion that the Committee of Adjustment, would we be approving the severance? The applicant, what would we be approving?
You would need to make a motion to waive the application fee for this.
So we would still approve the severance later, but at least he's not gonna pay any more fees.
Correct.
All right, then I'll make a motion that the Committee of Adjustment waive the fees for a severance application, and that we pre-approve the waiving of the parkland dedication fee and any new fees that may result as a new application.
Okay, so you've heard that.
Is that in detail enough?
Yeah, we do that.
Are you amenable to that? I know it means you still have to do another application, but at least you know
like
it's gonna be free, and the process is gonna be moving forward to get this
as
finished.
long as they fill most of it out. Because it's been filled out before, so you should be able to duplicate what I have there. Like I say, this isn't my problem. I didn't create this problem. And like I said, when I leave
How
here,
much of the old information can be used in this application?
Probably mostly still relevant, as long as the lot sizing
So,
are changes, but it should be.
So we would need him to confirm that the information there is still correct, and then signatures.
He still needs to sign off on the application, yeah, absolutely.
yes.
All right.
Like I'm just trying to help out too, to get this thing done.
Yep, we're trying to move forward and get you through.
So are we. Okay, so any support for that? Support, Frank?
Yeah, I'd second it, and I don't know if we can add, I think we all want to get this solved, so I don't know if you put get her done in a motion, but I think that's what we're headed, so let's get it done.
Okay, all in favor? That carries.
If I could, just really quickly, there's, on the original letter from the homeowner, there's a list of 6 things that they were requesting refunds on. The committee can't make a decision on these, so if the owner still wants to go forward with refunding or pursuing a refund on those items, we'd have to refer those back to council.
All right, and if, could that then be accommodated with if those fees would still be required if a severance is granted? Like, that they're only being paid once and not twice. That's like if they were required for the severance, they would still be required to be paid, correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry, it's not opening for me, so I can't see what the 6 things are, so.
Yeah, that's okay. I think they're related to like water meters, holding tank refunds, stuff like that. So I don't think any of that is gonna be required for the severance.
The final grade plan was $2,500, we put a deposit down, that's why it's always been just kinda, like all this extra money we put in, like we're just asking for it back.
Yeah.
Because we never got it back. When we do the final inspection, everybody gets that money back. This has been ongoing, so everybody keeps on pushing it, keep on going. And that's why those monies there we want back, and that's why I say it's another step for us again, where I'm not finished here. This is just one place they sent me here.
All right, well, we just moved the ball significantly
Yes.
further down the road for you tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those will come back then.
To council.
No, but like those fees that he's talking about that you paid,
Yeah.
once this is all said and done, severed, he gets his pipes opened up, that money will go back to him? Or is that money lost because it overlaps? Is that where's that kind of fight goes?
Well, what my thing is here, as far as I'm gonna be fighting this to the tooth and end at the end, because everything has been held up. It's no different than even coming here tonight. It's gonna be another few months before, another 3 or 4 months, or whatever it is. Like, everything's been held up, so someone's gotta give me the word to pull that plug and take that shit pump out of the 1 semi. And that tenant there has been paying for that second sewer since it's been hooked up. So really hasn't been using it. So there's I didn't even put that in there. So there's other costs, but say the final grade plan is $2,500. If they gave me a move-in permit because they knew what the problem was and we were stuck, because that's what happened when sewer come along there. So all that stuff has just kind of been pushed along, but I want that money back now, because I should have got it back, because I could have had the place finished. If the water and sewer is there, I would have that place finished. Well, it is finished and rented, but I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah, if I could. So the lot grading deposit, that can be dealt with administratively. That's just to deal with your building permit. So we can look at that administratively. The other items here, again, water meters, costs related to the holding tank, costs related to the sewer pump. That is nothing that's gonna be a condition of the consent, the severance. So again, those items would need to be a decision of council. So we need to refer those items to council. And yeah.
That's where I thought when I wrote the letter, I thought it went to council, and then they shot it back to here, so that's why I'm saying I'm here, and we're only talking about that I'll be nice and say, hey, I'm gonna sever anyways, because I paid all these other fees. But now I gotta go back instead of back to council.
Right, you do, because we do not have the
Yeah,
authority to do that.
no, I appreciate that.
Okay, good, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're moving on.
One comment, if it makes me feel any better, you got 3 members of council here who are moving this decision forward for you, and you only need to convince 2 more to get what you want, so.
All right, I'm part of order too, so I wanna see what's going on.
Well, no, it's been scary.
Okay, good.
Especially when you have a fire and a place burns down, you shouldn't have to go through this.
Okay, guys, so we're also looking for a motion to bring those items back to council. Okay, so it's so moved by Brian, supported by Steve. All in favor? Okay, and that's going back then to council. Okay, any other inquiries by members? Yes, Steve?
Just in case the public's watching and they witness that, I just want to mention that, this unfortunate situation is just dealing with history. Nobody's been doing anything wrong administratively. The staff certainly aren't at fault. They're just applying the rules that they are, and they're unfortunately one set of rules that's 40 years old and one set of rules that's new.
Yep.
Yeah.
And things lapse, they do lapse, and then you gotta start again. Schedule of meetings, so our next scheduled meeting is February 6th, there is not one in January, okay? And then March 6th. And I'm looking for a recommendation for adjourning the meeting by Frank, supported by Dale. All in favor? And we are adjourned.